Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm John from ABES College, and I'm here with Anna. She's the lead instructor in our community support worker program. And today we're talking with Rick. He's a graduate of the community support worker program. Thanks so much for joining us, Rick.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here.
Well, great to have you. And before we get started with questions, I just want to say to everyone joining us, thanks for joining us live. We're broadcasting this live on Facebook, and we're also recording it, and then we'll get published on YouTube. I'm going to do my best to keep my eye out for questions as we go through. So I know I've got some questions for Rick. Anna's got some as well. But if I get some live questions, I'll try to work those in, keep my eye on it. If you watch this after the fact, either on YouTube or on a rebroadcast on Facebook, feel free to ask a question. I'm going to keep my eye on the post, and Anna will as well. And we'll try to get to every question that gets asked. So besides that, if you are watching this on Facebook, on YouTube, just make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. We're planning on putting out at least one video a week, and you don't want to miss any of them. So once again, thanks, Rick. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My first question was, out of all of the careers that you could have chosen and all the potential pathways that were open to you, I'm wondering, what about CSW attracted to you? Why did you choose to become a community support worker?
Well, personally, I've always had kind of an obsession for just wanting to help people, especially those in need. You know, elderly neighbors. I show up to help them do their random chores or chop their firewood, whatever needs to be done. You know, I've spent pretty close to the last decade on my own, raising money for children's cancer through an event called Shooting for a Cause, which I've raised in close to $40,000. Currently, I'm setting up my next event, which will be the 31st of July, and already got sponsors rolling in. I chose the CSW course. I was looking to get back into school, been working at the same job for over 10 years, and I was really just done with it and didn't really want to be there anymore. My mother, who's also an ABES college graduate, kind of challenged me to go back to school the one day when I was venting to her about how much I was sick of my other job there. And so I said challenge accepted, and I signed up for the CSW course after speaking with Olivia, the recruiting lady. Yeah, I told her what I'd done for the cancer charity, et cetera. And she told me that I had to do this course and that it would be the best fit. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the whole course.
That's awesome. Did you have a sense, like, sounds like Olivia, you know, really laid out the details of the program for you, but you said something that I kind of wanted to key in on about wanting, like, being obsessed with helping people. Did you have a sense that, like, this was the specific skill set you wanted to express that through, or was it just through meeting with our staff that opportunity became, you know, that you became aware of that opportunity?
Well, to be honest, when I first signed up, I was really unsure of which way I wanted to go. But then after the recruiting lady spoke with me about what the CSW program was for, it spoke to me, and I kind of knew that was what I had to do, the direction I had to take in life.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, no, I agree. And having Rick in the program and having him go through and share his experiences and what he's already been doing, it was just such a perfect fit. And I think that translated when you went out there in the field and started working as a practicum student. I think it just kind of clicked. And it was awesome because you heard that from yourself and then from the staff members at the practicum. It was just like this immediate click. It just kind of worked, and you just fit in and you just rolled into that role so nicely. So it was really that perfect fit. So it really did work out. Yeah. So I wanted to, part of what we do as CSWs is meeting people where they're at. And we talk about this in class quite a bit. A lot of people think, oh, I got to go into helping people and help make their life better and solve their problems and et cetera. And really the reality is that there's very few times when we actually get to see the end result. where we see people go from point A from point B, and we're really kind of in between, walking with people through that process. So how has it been for you, Rick? How has your experience been, both for practicum and maybe even now that you're working? How has your experience been with meeting people where they're at in their situation?
So I've found it rather easy for me, like I told you throughout schooling, I was the addict. I was the guy who was pretty darn close to homelessness at some points. I've been through a lot of trauma and hard situations in my life, and somehow I was always able to get through. But I find it easier for me than, say, other people that I work with, because I'm able to meet them at that level where I have the experience of being in those shoes in a lot of circumstances. And so I find it a lot easier to sympathize in that sense. And yeah, a lot of our clients are super great people that are just going through the regular cycle of trauma from their past experiences, and led them to sometimes, in a lot of cases, poor coping mechanisms like addiction, and just being able to help them and show them that somebody actually does care, whether they're here or not, and being able to be personal and treat them like human beings is just, it's rewarding.
Yeah, definitely being in that place and knowing what helps is important, right? And sometimes we think, oh, we have to give them this, or we have to solve here for them to be okay. And sometimes all you need is that person to listen and just to look at you and see you for who you are. So it's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing, Rick, that you were able to take your past experience and use that to help and influence others, and just kind of be a support to them. I think that's pretty amazing, honestly. Yeah. So you mentioned trauma, and trauma is something we talk about a lot in class. And so having that understanding of trauma, then when you see these difficult situations, how does that help you in terms of not reacting to those moments, but responding in that supportive way then?
So basically just having an understanding of trauma and the effects that it can have on the human mind is super helpful, because instead of thinking that, oh, this person's just intoxicated or this person's just angry and upset and everything like that, it kind of helps you to be able to work through that and see the human emotion behind the act of whatever they're doing, and be able to basically help you figure out what that person actually needs and how you can be of service to them.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, and just giving them the benefit of the doubt, basically, that they're not just out to make your day hard. You know, you're there to help them, and you know they're going through hard times in life, and you know you need to respect that and be able to help.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. In terms of, that emotion that you mentioned, seeing past the behavior and into the emotion is sometimes hard for us to do that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this can be a very difficult demographic to work with, in terms of if there's so much trauma, if there's that addiction, that can have a toll on us. So the other thing that, we talked a lot about in class is self-care. So how have you incorporated that into your day-to-day to make sure you can provide that support and the best possible support?
So basically, find your hobbies and own it. Like find something that you absolutely love within your life and just do it. And like, even, sometimes like I'll have some really emotionally trying days at work, or days that, you just want to freak out, because, it does get very stressful, to be honest. But sometimes I just go home and I'll just, before I even go in and see my family or say hi to the wife or anything like that, I just take 15 minutes to myself and just breathe and try and vent and get all that vicarious trauma, I guess, as we would call it, out of your head and just get onto home life. And, you know, if you don't do that, you just keep bottling it up and bottling it up, and bottling it up. It's, I mean, unfortunately not going to last long in
No.
crazy atmospheres such as I work in. So
No, that's for sure. Is there anything in particular that you do that really, really works for you?
so I've been doing a lot of different things, like taking the wife out to a hotel in a jacuzzi for a night, or just going on cruises, like not like a ship cruise, but just going for a cruise in the car,
Right.
you know, going up into the mountains and just looking at a beautiful view for an hour, you know,
Yeah,
different things like that.
those little things.
Watching
Yeah.
hockey with my boys.
Nice. Yeah, just incorporating that. Yeah, it's, we think of it as we have to do these really crazy things of self-care, but sometimes it's those little things that just add up to release all of that.
That even just taking that 15 minutes just to sit in your car and breathe, you know, like
Yeah, totally.
It's something
What
that's
was-
kind of sorry, Anna, but
No,
that's
go
something
on.
that's kind of come up for me recently too, is just how individual that idea of like mindfulness and self-care really is. It's not always a yoga mat and like sound of the whales on a speaker. It doesn't need to look like that for everybody. So it's cool to hear how different that manifests for you, Rick.
Yeah. Well, and the importance of like knowing that you have to, like, it's kind of like you can't do your job without self-care, especially in the field that we're in, is we're dealing with people's emotions. And when you deal with people's emotions, we have to tap into our own. And if you just ignore it, it becomes a snowball effect. So really taking care of yourself is like priority for doing your job. It's not just, go to school and learn how to do the job. Is how can I take care of myself so I can continue to do the job? Completely forgot what I was going to ask in that moment there, but yeah, I think you embody that really well. I do remember now. I wanted to ask, what's the most rewarding part of your day? I mean, we've talked about like it's hard, and yes, sometimes we come home and we're so frustrated, but there's something about being a CSW that it is rewarding. Like we know that. So I wanted to ask, what's been rewarding for you?
So it just being able to see that look of gratitude on a client's face when you actually truly help them out with something. Like I have a client who's wheelchair bound, and she came in the one day and she had me push her around to our front gate because her friend that usually pushes her wheelchair around wasn't around that day. And I noticed that her wheelchair seemed like the wheels were going to fall off. And so I had to email about 4 different departments within the building, and it was a real pain in the butt. But by the end of the day, I was able to hook her up with an almost brand new wheelchair. The look of gratitude on her face was just amazing. Like it just, really hit home there. Or, there was a guy during like the coldest parts of the winter. I think it was something like -30 out that day. And this guy came in and most of his toes had gone completely black, and he probably lost them. He had no shoes. He came in wearing a pair of flip-flops in the middle of the winter. And I was able to find him a perfect pair of shoes. And plus I gave him a bunch of wool socks and everything like that, and just hooked this guy right up. But like the look on his face was almost like he wanted to cry, and he was just so appreciative.
Yeah, that gratitude.
Yeah,
and I think it's just like it speaks so much to you met them where they were at, you met those needs, you had that compassion, and the fact that you have been taking care of yourself, like doing your due diligence of taking care of yourself, being able to be there emotionally for those people, like that's all it takes. And sometimes we think, we have to do these amazing things in the field to get rewarded, and sometimes it's just knowing that the other person is having a better day because we somehow influence that. It just keeps us going, right? It's such an amazing feeling.
To be completely honest, a lot of it is the little things.
Yeah, it is. It totally is. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know if you have any questions for Rick, John.
Yeah, I've just got kind of one. I'm wondering, we've asked you some specifics, but if you can kind of imagine yourself, a bit of a mental exercise, but like if you were talking to yourself a year ago or a year and a half ago, what do you think would be really important for you to know about like where you're at now, about the career that you're in now or the progress that you're in now? Imagine somebody might be watching this and be on the fence. Is this for me or not? What do you know now that you wish you'd known then?
That I can do it. I mean, Anna, I gotta give you a lot of praise for this. I mean, a year and a half ago, I probably didn't think I could do it. Like I was a grade 9 dropout, former addict, you know. I wasn't a very savory character for a lot of my life. And ABES college and Anna gave me the confidence and the knowledge to be professional within this field and succeed.
Mhm. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's
And like
really
I always,
powerful.
I was gonna say, like I always say to you guys, I do a part, but the effort comes from you. Like the fact that you
Yeah.
chose to stick with it and put the hard work, because it's hard work.
Yeah.
I never want to say, oh, it's an easy program where we all have fun. There's times where we have tough conversations and it's hard to come to class and it's hard to talk about them. And the fact that you went through that and you did it, it's just, to me, it's so humbling. And so you put in all of the work and that success is really showing. So thanks for doing that.
I
Yeah.
find the lived experience too definitely
Yeah.
helps. And that's something I never would have thought of a year and a half ago, is that my past mistakes could actually help me succeed in a career.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And amazing too, right? Like it
Yeah.
feels good to know, yeah, I made those mistakes, but you know what? Because of them, I can help people and I can impact and I can make a difference. That's pretty amazing.
Kind of brings back that everything happens for a reason. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I believe
I think
that too.
having that kind of vulnerability to show up and be open to share that experience also, Rick, is like an incredible gift to give people that you are interacting with and you will interact with as well. That's an incredible thing to bring forward from my perspective.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've had to say to clients before too, because they're, you know, you just work here, you don't know what it's like. And I'm like, well, like
Actually,
I've been in those shoes, but like,
yeah. Yeah. It makes a connection, right? The moment that you're like, you know what? I've been there, I've lived it, and I hear you. It kind of just immediately connects you to that person. It's something that you it's not rehearsed or anything. It's just a genuine click that happens when it's like, yeah, I have the compassion because I lived through some tough moments too. Right?
Mhm.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Rick. I just wanted to frame something that Anna said a little bit differently on the other side of it too, which is, I think you share an incredibly powerful story, and I know you obviously create huge changes and huge difference in the communities that you work in, but also for people that are watching this and maybe thinking about embarking on a change through education themselves, and I think what you've said is really empowering. Is what I want to say, and I just feel really grateful to you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I think we can sign off
Yeah.
there. I'm going to keep watching for comments. We got a couple. They were mostly just like great insight. Thanks for sharing, that kind of thing. But if we have any questions, Ann and I will be looking for it. And if we can rope Rick in, we'll do that through email as well.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rick, for coming in and for sharing once again. It's always a pleasure.
Well, and all I gotta say before I sign out is to anybody watching this that maybe has doubts, I did it. So can you.
I love that. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rick.
Have a good
No
evening.
worries.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.